Hi, today we're installing FreeBSD on an AtomicPi, so please watch along as we get started. Now the very first thing that we need to do is pop over and type a couple of commands to change what BSD is doing here. And that's because there is something weird with the UART interface, or the way it's seen inside of FreeBSD. So let's go ahead and disable that. So what we're going to type is, I type 3 to escape to a loader prompt. I type set hint.uart.0.disabled equals 1. And then we'll do set hint.uart.1 disabled equals 1. Okay, what we have there is the interface 0 and UART interface 1. And we're going to go ahead and disable that. And next we hit boot. So type boot. Now the installation actually goes really fast on AtomicPi. I've been extremely impressed with AtomicPi and FreeBSD. So let's go through and see how this thing gets started, and we'll go from there. Now with this, please keep in mind that if you don't type that, it will freeze on the installation and just kind of sit there and stare at you. So watch out for that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and choose install. Keep the same key map. In this case, I'm going to call it CYB VLT01. That's the name of the system. Over here, we're going to say, yeah, that's all we want. We just want that kernel debugging portion in lib32, and the kernel debugging is, almost optional. So we'll just go ahead and say OK. Now, as far as ports go, we'll probably be pulling the ports down during the install later on from my GitHub site. Okay, auto UFS. We're going to use UFS. This only has 1 gig of RAM or 2 gig of RAM, 1 or 2. So we're just going to use the UFS system here, not ZFS. And UFS works really well. So that's the disk we're going to use right there, the MMC SD0. Entire disk, yes. The GPT, and then that's how it says it's going to break it down. We're going to click Finish, Commit, and there you go. Now it is going through and doing its thing, and that's all there is to it. So it's extremely easy to get this thing started. The very beginning there, that is really intense because it'll sit there and just freeze with you, and that is just hideous. The tutorial that I found to get around that was from FamicoMan. So I don't know who that is, but a big thanks to FamicoMan for getting us through that. That was just really annoying. It's not intuitive whatsoever. The error it stops at is a keyboard error. Well, we're gonna let this run, and this is pretty much it. So we're gonna let this run until it's done, and then after it's done, we'll reboot. Okay, here it's asking us for a password. In this case, it's just gonna be root. Now the passwords I always set on these systems are either root or password to get them installed, and that's mainly because this is going to be used for a lab, and it's going to be redeployed either on a wall, and you'll need to change it. Now, my script does bring up warnings on that. So when you run the script, it lets you know that, hey, you can log in via SSH, via root as SSH. You've got all these password problems, etc. So you'll need to fix those as you go through it. There's no reason to set up a complex password when you're installing the system right now. Over here, we've got the Realtek interface. We're going to use that. It says, like to configure IPv4, yes. DHCP, yes. And then it's going to come back and it's going to ask about IPv6. Now at the IPv6 question, I'm going to say no. Do not want to configure that. It's got search there, and I'll go ahead and put cybernatos.net. Tab down to OK, and I'll choose OK. Now, CMOS clock set to UTC. It is not. It's set to local time, so I'm going to say no. Now, where am I located? I'm located in America, so I'm going to go through and do that. and go down and select, I'm over on the East Coast now. So let's go up to US, Eastern. Yes, that's correct. Yep, that is right there. So I guess you could choose set date. And let's see, local caching, SSH. And over here, I do want to go through and do a NTP date because I do want to synchronize the system and network time at boot time. So I'd like that to go ahead and come up. Now the dump dev right down there, enable kernel crash dumps to var crash. I'll leave that the way it is right now. We'll probably disable that in another setting. As far as the security features, I'm not choosing any of those security features. Not from this menu. Not going to add any users. And we're going to exit. So the choices here, of course, you can go through and do a number of things, but we're going to choose exit. Now don't be surprised if you click exit and it takes about 1 to 3 minutes to respond. It's okay. It's thinking about it. So don't be surprised if it just kind of sits there and stares at you for a minute. That's okay. Okay, so it says installation is now finished. Before exiting installer, would you like to open a shell in the new system to make any final manual modifications? We're going to say yes. We do want to do that. And that modification is going to disable that UART when we start this thing up. So let's go ahead and make that change in the system. And this is 0 disabled. Okay, right there we got 0 and 1 disabled. So let's go ahead and save this file. And there you go. So after this, we're going to go ahead and reboot. Now, as it's rebooting, once the screen goes black here, I'm going to rip out this USB. I am doing an install from a USB. So once I rip out the USB, it will boot to the disk. Okay, we're getting started here. Great. I'm going to go ahead and press enter. See if my changes worked. And yes, they did. Great. So there you go. Now you've got a FreeBSD system on your AtomicPi. It works extraordinarily well. So if you're looking for a really inexpensive Pi type system, which this is an AtomicPi, so it is an x86, well, it's a 64-bit, but it's an x86 based processor in here, an Atom processor. This system works absolutely wonderfully. Oh, I should mention, down here it says my unqualified host name. You can go ahead and hit Control-C on this, because when you run the script, if you want to run the script, then I'll go ahead and do a little bonus here. We'll run the script. So we'll log in as root and root. And once we get in here, we're going to go ahead and start my install from GitHub. And I'll go ahead and you'll see the GitHub site come up on the screen. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is let's look at our interface, see what we've got running here. We are 143, so I'm going to do a service SSH D restart, be sure that's going. I'm going to try to log into that over there as 143. So let's see if I can get this in. Okay, I've done that IP again before with a different system, so let's go ahead and choose this one. We're going to say yes. In this case, it will not let me log in as root, as you see this by default. So what we need to do is enable permit root login, which once again, this is mentioned in the message of the day when you log in that these changes have been made if you're installing from my script. Okay, so here we're going to do a VI, etc, SSH SSHD right over there. And this permit root login no. I'm going to change that to yes. It's little details like this that will often really cause problems when you're going through a system install. So there we go. Now we got that. Now I'm going to pop back over, and we're going to see if we can just log right into this box. There we go. Now we're into the box. Let's go ahead and start the install from my my GitHub site, and I'll pop the link right there in the description and also on the page here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to install bash and curl. So when we do this, it's going to say, hey, do you want to install these packages and go through and install the actual package utility, all those things. We're just putting a -y in there. The -y will take care of that for us. The -y meaning yes, just say yes to whatever the questions are. Okay, we almost have everything installed there. Once we do, we're going to pop over to bash, and then we're going to pop in the GitHub destination that you can see on the screen. So let's go ahead and type bash. Now we're over in a bash prompt. Okay, this prompt, we're going to go ahead and try to get in our GitHub site here where we have the GitHub, where we have our prep and our raw and all our kind of stuff like that. We're going to do a bash-c on this. Now, because it's HTTPS and we are using curl, we may get a little issue. So let's see if this works. We're doing a bash-c, the $curl, the website right there. We're going to try to pull down that prep FreeBSD sh. Let's press enter. And there you go. We have an issue right there on the HTML type that we hit. But that is just a typo. As we look through this, we have, let's make sure we got everything. GitHub, this prep BSD raw master prep. Oh, there we go. That will be a problem. We have a duplicate. Well, I have a duplicate there. Don't you make that duplicate. Don't do that error. So let's go ahead and do the install. Okay, we have redirect this time, coming back through our curl, and I think everything is correct this time. So now we have to look at where the issue is coming at this point for our curl. And GitHub rocks. Once again, it's shown us that we're getting a redirection there from the original code. So let me go through and put in, they actually tell me where it redirects. So let's put that in there. Grab that right there. And bada bing, I think we've got it. There we go. Okay, so this gets started, and what it does, it's first of all, it's the MIT license. No warranty on this whatsoever. We've already done the bash curl, and we've already run bash. We agree. We're going to type Y. If you agree, then go ahead. This is going to go through and make the installations. It's going to change some shell parameters, your prompt, some other things like that, and get the system ready for just basic use as a server. Okay, so we have the FreeBSD repository catalogs being updated here. It's finishing up some of the applications. You'll notice I am installing John, which is a password cracker. I use that to benchmark systems actually right out of the box. There are a lot of utilities that you can use to benchmark. I use a number of different utilities. This is just happens to be one that I find that running a John space --test equals 1 gives me a really fast idea of what kind of system I'm running. You'll also notice that there are some settings in there, like the FreeBSD user, that I use for my Raspberry Pi installations when you're doing the Raspberry Pi image boot on a Raspberry Pi 3B or a Raspberry Pi 2. And those settings will just be ignored during this install. It'll give you a little error saying, hey, there's no FreeBSD user and there's no boot MS-DOS folder. So when it does that, it's fine. It's just going to give you a little notification that those things don't exist. And that's completely fine. So it doesn't hurt anything. That way this script can work for both Raspberry Pis 2s, 3s, or AtomicPis, which are a completely different breed. Okay, I want to point out the files here we're downloading and replacing. These are the ones we download straight from GitHub. We've got the message of the day, the bash rc. Notice when it does the home FreeBSD, if you saw this cycle through, you would have seen that it says that there's no such file or directory. And again, here with the home FreeBSD vimrc, no such file or directory. You would see those. Now, the security warnings and other things are in the message of the day. And this is the configuration of the system as we see it on right here. That's what it looks like. Now, that is UNIX. I've also installed that in the script. Let's go ahead and do a reboot. And as the system reboots, it should come back up with with SSH enabled. We'll be able to log into this and look at the settings. Okay, we've got the system booted back up. I'm going to go ahead and log into this box through SSH, and that's going to allow us a little more flexibility in what we type. If you want to log in straight from the console, then you certainly can. It's still root. Nice. Root and root. There we go. And we can see if we've got an IP address here. And this one, do not have an IP. Well, good thing I didn't try to SSH into it. rcconf. And let's look at this. Over there we've got where we lost the if config right here. Underscore RE0. So there we go. I'll have to fix that. That's an easy fix. So I'll go ahead and give myself an ifconfig RE0 192. There we go. And I'll see if I can get to it from my other box now. Okay, there we go. So it is working. It's just saying that I've logged into another machine with that same key, or a different key, sorry, with that same IP address earlier. So let's try it again. Yes, and root. There we go. So there you go. This is now the FreeBSD. You've got all the pretty colors here with your the prompt. You've got all your little bash variables in there. I've got the IP address showing up, and all of the frequency changes. Those are not done because, once again, this is a AtomicPi, and in the etc sysctl conf, that right there, that's also not going to be done